AIG Kerian Dudari is a consummate police officer who joined the force as a cadet ASP. He climbed through ranks, acquiring experience as a divisional police officer, area commander, deputy commissioner of police, Rivers State Police Commissioner, as well as Commissioner of Police in charge of Ports Command. His last postings before his present appointment as AIG Zone 1, Kano. His appointment gives credence to the level of confidence the Police High Command has of his ability because of the zone, apart from being volatile, is now seen as a breeding ground for Inspectors General of Police. The immediate past IG and the incumbents served as AIG Zone 1 before they were elevated. AIG Dudari, a well-grounded police officer, talked with CrimeFighters on the policy agenda of the Inspector General of Police Tafa Balogun shortly after a seminar on community policing in Jos.
The #1 security program on television.
I am the AIG Zone 1, Kano, and which comprises of Katsina, Jigawa, and Kano.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, community policing has been misinterpreted by so many people. What does community policing really entail?
Of course, when you talk about community policing, hitherto people would tend to think you are talking about the existing PCRC or the other groups of PCRC that extend from the state command, area commands, divisional commands at district level. But you see, when we're talking about the community policing as conceptualized by the present IG, we're talking about something that we're talking about a new orientation towards policing. We're talking about defining a philosophy, a new approach to policing, a sort of commitment, a sort of renaissance of the Nigerian policeman and the Nigerian people to appreciate one another. You see, it is a philosophy, a concept that has to do with the two-way flow of traffic from the policeman to the members of the public and members of the public, aimed at, reorientating the whole of society as against the way a policeman was just viewed during the colonial days, as a coercive agent, as a government tool, and so on. But this is having the people at the basis. Let the people understand the police and the police understands them. It has worked in many parts of the world. But you see, we have to borrow it and not transforming it directly, but using our own environment. It is a Nigerian community policing. We have appreciated that people, for example, don't trust the Nigerian policeman very well. We want to ask them, why don't you trust us? We don't only ask them to trust us, but we want to perform to make them trust us. We don't just go to the radio and say, trust us. No. But you let them see a change in the Nigerian policeman. Let them say, this is not the Nigerian policeman I used to know. You understand? In terms of corruption, picking money on the road, treating people badly in the police station, regardless of fundamental human rights. There is no way you can be perfect as a policeman, but let the people see you as doing your best, towards the trust they have given you, and you are giving them back service. Service, even if you don't give them 100%, let them appreciate that you have done your best. That is a concept.
CrimeFighters, the #1 security program on television.
What is supposed to be their roles in this community policing?
You see, the police community, without community there is no police. You understand what I mean? That is basic. because you find out that you see the Nigerian police right from ages has been there. Even from the beginning of life, there was order. Even in heaven, there was order. You understand what I'm saying? But what we're saying in the Nigerian context, here are people who, through the Constitution, entrusted their lives, their property, they are being safeguarded to you, the policeman. They have decided and trusted their body, their soul, their self, their property, and everything to you as a policeman to police them. And you, in turn, will have to appreciate that it is an enormous tax that has been given to you. So you don't just start operating like that. There are guidelines that have been put there in the Constitution. You are empowered by the Police Act, the Constitution, and other things. But often at times, we are being viewed as people don't trust us. Of course, some of us abuse our authority. You understand very wantonly. There are many reasons for that, you know. The colonial cycle is there, the long periods of the Civil War, military rule, and so forth and so forth. And of course, you find out that often at times, the police is hardly equipped. The average policeman, the rank and file, who does the job, is not properly quartered. You understand what I'm saying? There are so many things that militate against his performance. You know, so we are not justifying why they should pick money on the road, but as much as it is nauseating, we want to see how we can, through rapport with community and these people, stamp it completely. And I think with community policing, dialogue, and so on, like I said earlier, it's not talking on the radio that we're going to stop this. You understand what I'm saying? But we want to be able to go to the grassroots, talk to people, sermonizing as if we're in the church or otherwise. You understand what I'm saying? To bring back, to make the people to be conscious of. This is what the Constitution has given you, policemen. This is your authority, you, members of the public. For example, you see, when we try to stamp out this question of picking money on the road, you find out even drivers, by the time they go, they drop money without even asking. So it is a sort of culture. We want to sensitize people to what you are doing is wrong. The policeman, what you are doing is wrong. You understand? Because if we have reached a stage, if we have to work in a democracy, because policing is very essential for democracy, for development, and even for the new project that Mr. President is having, because the new reforms will entail security of the people, so that you buy the confidence of not only your people, not only the business community, but even the government, so that they'll be able to provide for us. So it is a sort of wind of change. It's a reorientation. It's a looking inside. It's a philosophy that we have to look inside and see, let us regenerate from what we have been. That is the idea.
Crime Fighters, promoting security consciousness.
When I was the AIG Zone 1, when I started, in fact, when I was the Commissioner of Police, Kano State, before I sat on my decks, I went around all the 44 local governments of Kano State. And I met the cross-section of the community, starting from the traditional rulers, you know, road transport workers, local government, cross-section of the people. I met all the 44 local governments. I went one by one, and we addressed everybody in a hall. And I think the result I got was tremendous. People begin to respect the police. People appreciate us. Whatever the boys do, people will always understand that this is what made them to do it. And for the first time, we were able to stamp up crime and even violence in Kano. The same thing when I was the zonal commander. I went around Jigawa, Katsina, and repeated the whole thing. So you see, we're at rapport with the people. Each time they want to hear me talk on the radio, what is a new message the AIG is telling Katsina, Jigawa, and Kano? What is the name? In fact, when there's going to be a trouble, some of them approach me and say, come, say something. Because when we hear your voice, you get the point. I'm saying, we're happy. We are happy that this is not going to happen. But when you keep quiet, we are frenzy. There's going to be problem. You understand what I'm saying? And you can now see virtually community policing without even the pilot scheme reaching there, where it's actually on the ground, but not formally. What we're trying to do now is to formalize it properly and make it, I don't want to call it scientific, you understand, because when you call it, you give it a lot of some cloud of theory, because we have to be seen, to be practical, to be doing. In the north, it's going to be very easy, because from the traditional council, you understand what I mean? There is a communication flow up from the police and down from the police to the traditional ruler to the police, and from the police to traditional rulers. It is going to be very easy up in the north because it has been existing. In the north, people rely on traditional structures for security. I think the north is a fertile ground for it. It's going to be much more easier.
So how soon is that going to be in the north?
The essence of the workshop we had is that we don't have to sit down and wait. We have to prepare ground before this kind of thing.
So,
in
sir,
fact, it is on.
How prepared is the zone, that is zone 1, for the smooth takeoff of community policing in that zone?
You see, we are even getting very impatient. We wish the pilot scheme had started from zone 1, because the effect would have been felt faster. Because already we have these traditional structures on the ground that are very receptive. Just like in a pollination, when the thing is open, the receptacle is ready to take. Kano, Katsina, that zone is always very receptive of ideas, especially when you are talking about policing. They are concerned about their business, they are concerned about opening their shops, they are concerned about peace, and so on. But unfortunately, in between, they don't want their business to be disturbed. But certainly in these riotous political days, and so on, people catch on that, hooligans. And of course, nowadays, they have to tell us that, look, this is what we had is going to happen. So we go proactively. And that is the essence of policing. So zone 1 is very, very ready. Anytime we're ready to take off. There's a lot of frustration in every rank and file. A lot of frustration. We, the managers of these boys, know them. So we do our best to provide the minimum as available to us from the IG to provide for them. But where we're unable to provide, you will notice some overt action. Some unnecessary, that is why I told you, unnecessary use of force, uncool behavior, you understand, unkempt behavior, and so on. Because the average rank and file is angry. Is angry. Some of them are very angry. We go around and see, we interview them and see, because they felt they should be provided for more than any Nigerian. But that is not possible. So the idea of community is to be able to appreciate that these powers given to you are enormous. You understand? You are supposed to provide service to people. What about the people who make sacrifice without even collecting salary? I know you cannot compare with a policeman, because you discover that come rain or shine, the policeman is sleeping. How he gets his work is another thing. Whether he has paid his children's school fees, you don't know, and so on. He goes to the same market with any other Nigerian, and so on. Over in addition to that, he's on the road for about 8 hours per day, sometimes 24 hours, sometimes 36 hours, depending on the exigency of work. So, the essence of community policing now, when there is peace, when there is no emergency, when there is no war, you take time to fine-tune an organization or the system. So now we have relative peace. We have no reason not to organize. So the essence is we are synthesizing both from the top, from the executive position to the lower beam. You understand? We should be able to establish a two-way traffic from the rank and file upwards, and it is not always giving directives.
That's why on the rank and
We know. It's a critical point. The rank and file, the critical, they do the job. They do the job. They are the teeth. Like you said, the teeth in the army. The rank and file do the job. And that is where every Nigerian has his perception about the Nigerian policeman. Whether I wear the Inspector General or not, or that the moment a constable behaves along Felgore Forest, as it is happening now, which we try to curtail, around Felgore Forest and so on, it reflects on me. You understand? Maybe my management style is faulty. You get it what I'm saying? So we appreciate that it is a critical area we have to deal with. And we want to summarize them. We want to talk to them. We want to say, look, you are an important man. Or member of the public say, look, you are an important man. The Constitution has empowered you. God has given you life and property of people in your custody. Even that you should appreciate. You understand? How can you on the road stand with that dress and pick money from let's say a motor boy? You know, you have exchanged position. You understand what I'm saying? When they start appreciating that, some of them will even weep that they are doing that in uniform. So you can see there's going to be a change, whether they like it or not, even from the perception of God. You understand what I'm saying? And members of the public too have to be impressed upon, not to encourage it. You understand what I'm saying? And that is why we hold meetings with AURT members, road transport workers, Vigilante, and so on, and put heads together, and so on. Mutual respect is what we want to cultivate. Because before now, there was a big communication gap between the policeman and any average Nigerian. Service delivery is what we're supposed to measure our performance with. You understand what I'm saying? Because the members will say, we've given you so much. How much have you given us back? You understand? Why are you asking for more? So we want to be able to appreciate whether our service delivery passed the litmus test.
Crime Fighters. You have a lot to learn.
Sir, what are the benefits accruable from this project?
The benefits are enormous. It's enormous. We're in a democracy. It will enhance democracy, efficiency, respect for fundamental human rights. The members of the public will appreciate. Policeman himself will appreciate himself. You know, this is more of time of sermonizing. When there are crises or riots, we don't have time for all that. We don't have time for all that. When there are crises or riots, we don't have time. But now, here and there may be some disturbances. But for now, what we are saying is we want to rejuvenate. We want to be able to change the perception, the conceptualization of people. It is a concept, it's a philosophy that has to be a practical one, not just on theory. I know it is not easy. You cannot change it. You cannot stamp it today and it will happen. It has to go gradually. And at this juncture, we want to appreciate the members of the public should understand. Let them not say, we don't come with another one again, Nigerian policy. No. This thing has to be gradual. Has to be gradual. We may not see the benefits now, but in the long run, I am sure, it will sink and it will grow.
Why the one-day seminar on community policing? And what is the police supposed to achieve with that one-day seminar?
You were there. You know what we have achieved. You saw it. We are the managers. We at the top level. If you want to introduce a system, you have to start with the top, or you start with the bottom, whichever you start with. But at least it will be easier for us to be sanitized, we ourselves. Because it's not only talking to rank and file, officers should be talked to. Some of us didn't appreciate what the IG was saying. But at least everybody is aware, focus on what he wants to do. So it is now easier for us to go down and impress it on them. Not only by giving directives, but by sitting down, talking to them, and making them to understand. We know it is a force that you go by directives. You do this, do that. So the style with which we are supposed to approach it, we are the managers, we should know how we are going to go about it. Somebody is the one should know how to approach his problem. The other one knows how to approach his problem. We have different environment, different characteristics of geography, and so on. So different policemen, maybe the orientation of the policeman in Kano is different from the orientation of policeman in Rivers. or in Lagos. You understand what I mean? Like I used to tell people, if you are policing a place like maybe Ajagule, you have to be able to leave the style of people in Ajagule, because otherwise they will say, you are too big for them and you should get out of their society. So you have to be able to appreciate the society, bring down your level to the society, know their nuances and so on, so that for every street, somebody should be able to know Mr. John is the policeman that we're going to expect to see by 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, or if a certain type of crime happens, as Audu will be able to train this. The members of the public should be able to know that this man is good in this, and vice versa.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Crime Fighters, the searchlight on crime and